Some would say it is a human right. There is a general international interest.
Don't try to preach us the human rights. We know what the human rights are. You Britishers should not preach us the human rights.
Radical left media sees 4 people on this planet as their biggest threats. They are Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump, Benjamin Netanyahu and Narendra Modi. And this time around they have messed up with the wrong person. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a mission to beat the living daylights out of BBC, the British propaganda channel. Hi and welcome, you're watching Outright. We tell you the right side of the story. Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon for such outright videos. Well, recently BBC released a documentary on India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, accusing him of facilitating anti-Muslim riots when he was the Chief Minister of the Indian state of Gujarat back in 2002. In this case, the Indian Supreme Court has already acquitted him of all the charges. But BBC thinks it is superior to Indian laws, the Indian Supreme Court and the Indian Constitution. BBC's own website mentions this fact that Modi is totally innocent. And even then, BBC went on to publish this fake, agenda-driven documentary. But the Indian government is now in full action mode. Arindam Bagchi, a spokesperson of the Indian government, said this is a propaganda piece designed to push a particular narrative. The bias, the lack of objectivity, and a continuing colonial mindset is blatantly visible. And now the government has banned the documentary in India altogether.
I'm not agree with your information. This absolutely misguided information to you. From where you have picked up this type of garbage, I do not know.
Some people have been accusing your government of not doing enough to stop this, of not protecting Muslims even now.
These are also false propaganda made by our opponents, and you are also a captive of this false propaganda.
Can you explain more? Who is perpetuating this false propaganda? That the information I'm reporting is taken from what I have seen with my own eyes, both at the times of the riots and now.
Those who are our opponents.
And the independent reports that have already been published into what has happened.
They have no right to talk about the internal matter of any government. I'm very, very clear in my mind. If they have done wrong.
Some would say it is a human right. There is a general international interest.
Don't try to preach us the human rights. We know what the human rights are. You Britishers should not preach us the human rights.
When you look back over the last month, you've been the leader of this state through a very difficult period. Do you think there's anything that you should have done differently?
Yes. One area where I was very, very weak, and that was how to handle the media.
India used its emergency powers to force YouTube and Twitter to immediately block the BBC's fake documentary on their platforms, and like good kids, they complied. There are 3 reasons why BBC came up with this piece of shit in the beginning of a year in which India is set to lead the G20 group. The first reason is BBC wants to sully PM Modi and India. The radical left media organization cannot digest the fact that the Indian economy is now bigger than the UK. UK is done and dusted, and the whining BBC is the biggest manifestation of the same. Secondly, BBC wanted to stir Hindu-Muslim riots in the country by instigating the peaceful Muslim community of India. BBC last week reported that public violence in India was on a decline, so BBC took it upon itself to ruin India's improving record on public safety and law and order management. Thirdly, BBC wants to distract the global audiences from their plight, the sorry state of the UK economy. The UK economy is on ventilator support, inflation is skyrocketing, savings are evaporating and consumption is falling. John Philpott, an independent labour market economist, said the upcoming recession will feel much worse in UK than the economic impact of the pandemic. So, BBC has now found a safe passage in slandering India. Even UK's Prime Minister Rishi Sunak does not agree with what BBC says. Watch this video now.
Given that hundreds were brutally killed and that families across India and the world, including here in the UK, are still without justice, does the Prime Minister agree with his diplomats in the Foreign Office that Modi was directly responsible? And just what more does the Foreign Office know of his involvement in this grave act of ethnic cleansing?
Mr. Speaker, the UK government's position on this has been clear and long-standing and hasn't changed. Of course, we don't tolerate persecution where it appears anywhere, but I'm not sure I agree at all with the characterisation that the honourable gentleman has put forward.
That completes Prime Minister's question.
In my opinion, BBC should actually focus on telling stories how people in Scotland and Ireland are rising up in arms against their own nation, and why UK maintains illegal control over Argentina's Falkland Islands. By banning BBC's hateful documentary, India has set an example for other nations to deal with this media extremism. Thanks for watching, guys. It is a sincere request. Please subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon for more such outright videos.